It's time for the world to listen to me. Yes, what's happening, people? It is Evans Willie here, and welcome to the Rags to Riches podcast. So today we have a very special guest, and not only is she the CEO, she's also, the director of Evans Willie Properties. She's also my life partner. So without further ado, let me welcome my partner, Miss Ellen Bachelor.
Thank you, baby. What a privilege to be invited onto your podcast.
Yes. So for Ellen, for those who don't know you, do you mind introducing yourself, letting everybody know who you are, and what do you do for the company as well?
So my main thing working alongside Evans, obviously we're both directors, we both have 50-50 shares in all of our companies. That's our deal selling, rent to rent company, everything, our BRRs. So we're building an empire together. So I'm your co-empire builder. In terms of the company, my responsibility is the admin. You hate admin. You don't like reading, email, any of that.
Definitely.
That's my thing.
Definitely. Admin is not my thing, 100%.
You're the negotiator. Yeah. You're brilliant at building connections, sales. Yeah. That's your skill set.
And sometimes you are also my translator as well.
When they can't understand your accent.
For those of you, when I'm very angry, my accent kicks in. So she actually often translates.
I mean, it's more, you don't really get angry very often, but you get passionate.
I do get very passionate.
And you speak fast. But no, we're a team, we're a duo, we've got different strengths and weaknesses, but I think it's really valuable.
Absolutely.
And also recently I became your fiance. Well, not that recently, but it feels like. So I got a little promotion there, guys.
You got a slight promotion, guys. So that's amazing. So it's absolutely amazing to obviously work with obviously my best friend, my partner Ellen. And we just thought we should just come on, introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about what we're doing right now. So what do you want to talk about today, Ellen?
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed that you get asked quite a bit, and I think is one thing that I find particularly admire about you, is your ability to change. You've changed a lot in the time that I've known you. You've changed, not only have you managed to change our career and our lifestyle and our financial situation, where we live, our the way things we do, the people that we meet, people that we're around. You've changed all of those things, but I think the crux of that, and you've been able to change your personality traits and work on yourself as a person. So yeah, I think it's really interesting to kind of hear from you how you've been able to do that, and actually quite relatively a short space of time. People will go a whole lifetime and they'll be one version of themselves. So I'm a big believer that you have multiple versions of yourself, multiple lives that you get to live as one, in your one lifetime. So I guess what would be your advice to people in changing things in that short period of time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, what I would say, that's a very, 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 very good question. And how I've been able to change my life in such a very short period of time. What is it, like 18 months? I've came from rags, to now riches, live my dream life. So what I would say to people is, I get a lot of people ask me that question. So I'm glad that you asked me that question today. And what I would say to a lot of individuals, they've got a goal in mind that, cool, I want to become financially free, cool, I want to become rich, or whatever it is, and that's the end goal, and that's great. However, I've looked at majority of people seldomly hit that goal, and I've also realized why. Because it's been the same thing as me. That's how I know why. Because what I've realized is that to change a big picture, it all starts with the small things. So what I've done recently, and what's got me here, believe it or not, is actually the small things that I do on a regular basis. So I'll give you an example. Right now, I go to my personal trainer in Manchester 3 times a week. I pay him thousands of pounds. He's the best personal trainer. Shout out to my personal trainer. Actually, I forgot his name now. Oscar Young, my guy, best in the world. I actually go to him, and what I like about Oscar actually gets into my head. And what Oscar was really saying to me, I realized that today actually is the 12th week that I've been working out with Oscar. Now, believe it or not, I work out with Oscar 3 times a week for 12 weeks. And the exact same exercise I'm doing today is the exact same exercise I've been doing from day one. And it baffles me. And I asked Oscar last week, like, why am I doing the same exercises? Like, the same exercises every single day, 3 times a week. And what he said to me, that is what success is. He's like, success is actually doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yes, there are a few changes, but it's like it's more about the consistency. So we have been doing the same exercises. However, we've started up with very little weight, and we've obviously doubled and quadrupled the weight. But the exercise is the same. But what he said to me, the reason why we started off the way that we got started off is because if he came from where I was to what I'm doing today straight away, in regards to the weight quantity, I probably could physically do it, but mentally I wouldn't be able to fathom doing that.
It would be too big a jump.
It would be too big of a jump. So what he's done, I got started off, for example, doing the leg press 100 kg. And after doing that, what happens is I did it, and what happened? I got happy. I got a bit of, endorphin.
Your dopamine hit.
Yeah, a dopamine hit. I feel happy. What happens after that? You feel like, what, I can actually do that. Then what he did, he increased the weight slightly. By 10 kg, I hit it. I get another, hit. And then to, 15, 20. And now we've doubled and tripled the weight on the different exercises. So why am I saying that to you? Because the same thing that we're doing right now with our weight loss is exactly the same thing I've been doing with my business. Believe it or not, I've been doing very much of the similar things, but every single time I hit it, I increase it slightly. And slowly but surely, I'm actually starting to believe that I can really do big things. Because when I got started, I could not believe that, I can be a millionaire one day. I could never. I'm a poor guy from the Caribbean, started off with nothing. No one in my family I know today was successful. If you told me, oh, bro, you'll become... It's like, no. But I could believe that I could get free rent-to-rents and became financially free. That I could fathom. And that's what I did. And then from that, got a few more rent-to-rent deals. And then from that, sold a few more deals. Making 3, 5, 6, 10 grand. And now obviously going for bigger numbers. But if I got started off straight away with 10, it would it would never happen. So I think the point I'm trying to make is a lot of individuals, I get the fact you go think big and you're going to want to get the big things, but it all starts off the small things.
The incrementals and the mundane daily tasks.
And there's a book that I read that's really, really, hones in on that. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And that book, if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend you read that book. That book has changed my life around completely, and that's exactly what this book explains. So that's kind of like my advice to to individuals. Start off with the small things, but you gotta be consistent. And over a period of time, it compounds. So that's my advice. I'm not sure if that helps at all.
Yeah, no, and we were talking about this the other day, and there's so many things that you've shared with me, and you've really helped me grow as a person. And I always say, share it with everyone. Like, I'm the only benefactor, so we need to, Lucky
you.
You really have grown. Really helped me grow and challenged me a lot, and helped me with bigger thinking. So, another thing that we were speaking about when we were having this conversation is how that builds habits, and and how habits, and you gave me a really interesting analogy. Do you remember the analogy you gave me? Yeah, I remember. So maybe if you elaborate on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, and that's all came from my guy Oscar as well, my personal trainer. He was saying to me that have I ever seen when police come to kick down and raid shops and stuff like that when they go into raid, they go in and they go straight in for the hard drive. They bypass the monitor, they bypass the screen, they bypass the keyboard, they bypass the mouse, and they go straight to the hard drive. And I was like, yeah, so what's your point? It's like, the most important part of the whole computer is the CPU, is the hard drive. That's the most important part, because that's what stores information. And I'm like, I get it, bro. Okay, cool. What is your point? Because Oscar is like that. He goes into detail on every single thing. And he was just like, the reason I'm saying that to you, because our body... human beings, we have got a hard drive. A hard drive is our brains. Now, the way that the hard drive works is that every single thing that you do every single day is data being pushed onto the hard drive. So, it's like if you want to become successful, it's at some point the hard drive will just run on autopilot. It's going to run off all the data that you fed over all of the years. So, it's like being successful is like you have to be feeding the right data onto the hard drive that automatically one day, you will just be doing things, unconsciously. But I'm like, how do you start off from nothing and fit in the data? It's like, well, that's the hard thing. Because the hard thing is you have to delete all of the data you've been putting on that hard drive for years. All of the mistakes, all of the things you've been doing. You have to delete it and then fit it.
And override it with new data.
And override it. So one of the things that we've been doing with my workout is like, it doesn't matter how heavy the weight is. I can't stop until I do my 10th rep. It doesn't matter how heavy, because like if you do it one time, it then becomes a habit. Like the next time when it's very heavy, I stop at the 9th rep. It's like, no, it's like the most important part of the workout is to do the last 2 reps. It's like the first 8 reps is just preparing you for the last 2 reps. So why am I using, things like personal training as an analogy? Because it's the same thing like our lives. It's the same thing like what I've been doing over the last 4 years. Believe it or not, I've been doing that since 2018, 17 is what I do right now. When I'm in the car, I only listen to audiobooks. And now I can see, what has happened over the last 4 years. So instead of listening to music, I listen to audiobooks. So now unconsciously, I just listen to all kind of audiobooks. So now, finally, the data is just running autopilot from all of the books I've been reading, I've been feeding. So yeah, I think it's all about, feeding that hard drive the right data by doing the right things, and writing small goals of things you want to do on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be anything big, but just write it down and make sure you do every single one of it. And then tomorrow add something else, and then it becomes a habit of you just saying you're gonna do something, and you're gonna do it, and then it leads to big things. So I think, doing those things repeatedly becomes a habit, and then all of a sudden, winning becomes addictive. So that's kind of like what I've been doing, and that's the analogy that I would use.
On the note of rewiring and new data, who are some of your top people that you listen to? Whether it's like motivational speakers or influencers or top audiobooks. Yeah.
Well, I mean, every single morning, even this morning, I woke you up with this guy. I've been listening to this guy, religiously over the last 5 years. This guy is like, I don't know, man. I actually feel like he's like my brother. And his name is Eric Thomas from the US. I listen to Eric Thomas every single morning. And also, again, it's about being intentional. Anybody watching this podcast really can be anything that they want to be. However, they go be intentional about it. And one thing, again, sorry for keep repeating Oscar, but I just really love this guy, because this guy is just like the guy, man. He really gets into my head. One thing that he tells me is like, you have to be intentional. If you want to be successful, you go be intentional. You can't just wake up one day and be like, oh well, will it happen today? No, you go be intentional. You have to practice it.
And Eric Thomas talks about that as well.
Yeah. He talks about intention. You have to intentionally want to do something. And one of the things that I realized with me, obviously getting started up in property, a young black guy from the Caribbean accent, the cars are stacked up against me if you just look at me aesthetically. Now I'm going to the gym, so aesthetically I look a lot better now, but I'm talking about back when I got started. Is the card stacked up against you. So the chances for you to become successful against high with no money, it's again.
Oh.
I think you need the mic, my love, so I have to keep it close to you. It's about being intentional. You have to, intentionally do things. So just like one of the things I go do every single day now, I go do 15,000 steps. So I can't just go to work and hopefully I will do 15,000 steps. So what do I do every single morning?
So you get up at 5 every morning, an hour and a half walking, so that you know that your steps are done.
Exactly.
And if you do extra in the day, great. But you've been intentional that goal is going to be ticked off. It's going to be done. You're not going to see if it hopefully happens. Not leaving it down to chance. And that's another thing. And then now that linking back to building the habit, it's now a habit for you. You don't have to think about doing it. You don't have to plan to do it. The intention, to help the intentional action to help you towards the goal has then now become a habit for you.
100%. So speaking of intention, what are some of the things that you work to do on a daily basis, and what intentional habits do you take on to do to achieve those things?
So I think just having a specific goal list, like when we get to our office every morning, we have a set of goals, we have exactly what we want to achieve, and it's clear who's responsible for what. I think having that clarity it just makes it so much simpler, and you can also assess how successful or productive you've been in a day very clearly. You've got your KPIs. I think, again, just being intentional, like we were even speaking about it yesterday, weren't we? You don't have a beautiful relationship the same way you don't have a successful business without being intentional about it.
Absolutely.
The data we were talking, 50% of marriages end in divorce.
Correct.
So 50% of marriages end in divorce, then what if you're not intentional about working your relationship, and that could be relationships with your family and friends as well.
Yeah.
But if you're not intentional about, adding value to your partner, or, kind of take into consideration what your partner's needs are or how you can support them in certain areas, then I mean, if you've only got a 50% chance,
exactly.
So if you're not being intentional, then the odds looking pretty low. So
correct.
I think that's something that we've done, and we're with all the personal development that we've, and a lot of the growth that we've had through working ourselves to become entrepreneurs. Because personal growth is a really key part of an entrepreneurship, because you'll find all your flaws, they'll show up in your business. 100%. All your shortcomings, all your lack of organisation, procrastination, whatever it is, it will show up in your business. So we've had to work on those things. And as a byproduct of, we've grown, and that's kind of in turn helped us be intentional and grow our relationship.
Absolutely. And speaking about being intentional of our relationship, some of the things that we've done to make our relationship, work out. Thank God I wouldn't say thank God, but I've taken lessons of all the bad ones that I've had, in the past, and now I do take intention. For example, it's been one of my goals to always work and be successful, so I can obviously have you working with me, because I know at the workplace is where a lot of things happen. So I'm like, if you
well, I guess we met at work, so
exactly. So we met at work. So I was just like, no, I can't leave you working out there somebody else. I can't lose you. So I go become successful and get you to work with me. So that's like kind of the intention. But look, man, it's been a great few minutes speaking to you. It's been an absolute privilege to be having sitting on a podcast with you. And I just want to say, thank you for obviously coming out and just sharing. And is there anything that you wanna leave in closing?
I mean, I think so. To sum up, it's being intentional. I think that's the main thing. Is being intentional. Be intentional in your relationship, in your business, in your health, in every area of your life. And don't forget to subscribe and like, guys, because I've been listening to this guy for years, and it's worked out for me. So
it's time for the world to listen to me. Thank you. Well, look, guys, I hope you love this video. Subscribe, smash the like button, and turn on the notification bell to keep getting these videos over and over again. Peace out, guys. Take care.